We step into the world of big dreams, big moves, and big money. It's the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. After 40 years, the Big Cheese remains dedicated to serving the finest Italian dinners, pizza, pasta, subs, and salads. All of their pasta is imported from Italy and cooked fresh every day. Visit BigCheeseMiami.com. Now, let's find out who's the Big Cheese the Miami Hurricanes are working on with insider Manny Navarro.
All right, and our friends at the Big Cheese. We love the Big Cheese, 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue. Go see Gary and all the great people out there as always. And, of course, we love Billy. We just lost Billy, and it's a crushing blow. But keep that memory alive because Billy's idea was the Big Cheese 40 years ago and still going strong. So celebrate Billy's spirit by visiting the Big Cheese. And, of course, when we talk about the big cheeses that the Miami Hurricanes are going after in the NIL and recruiting report, they are still going after the Ohio State commit, right? The Chris Henry kid?
Yeah, he's supposed to be one of the guys that's down here this weekend. It's a big pool party weekend. You referenced it in the previous segment. It's just there's so many recruits, and this is something every school ultimately does now. They try to have these big weekends where it's a pool party and it's festive, and all the underclassmen. It's basically like an official visit without the official visit, right? Where nobody stays on campus, but they throw a big party and everybody gets to hang out, and you get to see, who's really feeling it, who really isn't. I think most of the kids nowadays, the elite recruits, they've gone to campuses so many times. They make 5, 6, 7 trips with their parents to campuses to check things out, that a weekend like this is more about, the entirety of the class, because very rarely will you get everybody in your recruiting class on campus at the same time. But this provides that opportunity where these guys get to know each other, if they haven't already, and they get to be in your environment, in your backyard, and sort of start to envision, man, what would life be like at the University of Miami if I came in with these other dudes? And so for Mario Cristobal and for everybody in the recruiting department and what they're doing, this is a huge weekend.
I'm with you there. So let me ask you something. On the recruiting side, where are they limit wise? Like, what are the numbers right now? Because we always used to know how many recruits they still have space for and that kind of stuff. And I know some of this stuff is fluid because some guys are in the transfer portal and all that other stuff. So, do we know?
Yeah, the NCAA changed the rules to 105 scholarships. Basically, is what you have, a roster limit of 105 players, including walk-ons. So when we used to count scholarships back in the day and say, man, are they under the 85 and all, you really don't know anymore. Because in the end, as Mario told me once, we'll always get the number to where it needs to be. Right? We'll figure out a way to get under the limit. So what I would tell you is this: don't worry about it anymore. It's not something that is a big deal in terms of what coaches worry about, and they can. And I think there's a networking system now, man, where a lot of these guys take players and they say, hey, you want to come practice, like even with the walk-ons, you want to come practice with us. We know people at other schools. We can help you get on another school, that kind of thing. And they do that with their own recruits. Hey, it didn't work out here. You were here for 2 years. You're not going to play here. We know somebody at FIU, or we know somebody at Louisiana Tech, and they just it's like there's like an exchange system of players, bro, and they just kind of help each other out.
So, what's this pool party entail?
Well, I'm sure all kinds of food, all kinds of fun, probably some attractions, right? Some ladies will be hanging out around the pool as well.
There's nothing like those boat parties that they had years ago, right?
No.
Layla wasn't happy with, or some.
Right, when you had all kinds of boosters like Nevin Shapiro and all kinds of people around providing extra entertainment for the recruits. No, I think look, they have compliance committees. schools have gotten in trouble enough, self-reported themselves enough where, I think they're conscious more than they were before when they were trying to hide everything. Now that you can pay players and do things a little differently, there's more freedom to do stuff. But I think at the same time, they don't have to sort of go the extra mile. Because the players know, hey, in the end, it's the paycheck that I really want, right? It's the contract. So I think all those extracurriculars have sort of gone out the window because there's really no need to do them anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's just kind of screwed up. All right, I'm going to ask you something that maybe you're not, might be a little bit out of place here. So, but it is kind of big cheese. Do we know if, because I saw Jai Lucas is stealing the GM from Duke, and she's coming over, and she used to work for Nike and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm just wondering, bro, the Boozer Brothers, is there even a chance or something? Or are we just like, just because we're getting Jai, we think we got a real shot at Boozer when we really don't have any shot at the Boozer Brothers?
I asked someone earlier this week that question, and the response I got was very political, which was, I really don't know if it's going to make a difference. In the end, the Boozer father, of course, played for Duke, right? And so it's ultimately, I think, up to those guys. I think Miami's standpoint is this: we have an entire roster we have to make over, and if the Boozer brothers come, man, that's awesome, right? We're going to get 2 homegrown products that are great players, but we have also got to refill the roster and win, right? We need to. So while it's a priority, I think deep down inside they certainly would love it. I think they also are like, either way, we got a lot of work to do. So I think that's the perspective that I have on it from somebody that I spoke with earlier this week.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. All right, any other big cheese news that we should know about?
Just, you mentioned Chris Henry earlier. There's a lot of big time 5-star, 4-star guys that are going to be here this weekend. I was just going to go over some of the names. One of them is Kanye Pepe, a kid out of Bradenton IMG Academy. He's one of the 10. I wrote a column this week on the 10 most intriguing uncommitted prospects in the 2026 class. Kanye is a guy who is from California originally, but has been at IMG Academy here in Florida for the last 4 years since he was a freshman. And Mario has a long relationship with this guy. So does Alex Mirabal. They've been talking to him since the kid was in the 8th grade or 7th grade. And so, you talk about
Kanye Pepe.
Kenya Pepe, yes,
Pepe.
big dude, 6'7", 320 pounds.
Miami, I used to love Carlos and Pepe. Remember that restaurant, that Mexican restaurant? It was by Dadeland.
Yes.
And then there was another one. There's another Carlos and Pepe right on the 17th Street Causeway in Fort Lauderdale. Fat people know food, bro. We know food. We don't, that's our.
Yeah, that's our specialty, bro. That's our specialty.
Our landmarks. Hey, look, you go 4 blocks down at the Burger King, you hang a right, you go down a mile, there's a KFC, hang a left, and it's right after the Dunkin' Donuts. You'll see it right there. And that's it. Right. That's our directions. That's how fat people do directions. That's how I do it. But if we still had Carlos and Pepe in town, that would have been an NIL thing for him right there, bro.
For sure. Really good player. I got a chance to meet the kid a couple summers ago when I was down at IMG. He's been starting for a long time. He's just like to me, he's like a Francis Mauinoa. And so he'll be down here with a bunch of IMG kids. I think it's basically a Miami USC battle for those guys. And, look, there's a bunch of, like I said, a bunch of big dudes. There's a 6'5", 300-pound tight end coming here from Brunswick, Georgia. He's a tight end, though. 6'5", 300 pounds. Wow. Okay, he's like a super freak athlete. Lamar Brown, a kid out of Louisiana, 6'4", 275 pound, can play offensive line or defensive line. It's going to be hard to beat LSU for him because he's from Baton Rouge University Lab School. But again, big weekend, a lot of meat on campus. A lot of big body boys on campus, which Mario loves. And I think that's the difference, right? When I look at this from a step back view, and we've talked about this a long time since Mario's been the head coach at Miami. You got to get the dudes on your campus, right? Even if you don't get them, win the first recruiting battle, you could get them the second time around. And as long as they're getting big-bodied, physical dudes at the line of scrimmage, then this thing is going and operating the way that it should.
Yeah, exactly. And let's hope they can get over the hump this year and start. Well, they're going to have to, because again, you're getting, you're kind of stuck where you're not really building. You're kind of just like putting a project together every year now with NIL, because
you restart your team every year.
Yeah, you only had one shot with Cam. Now you only have one shot with Carson Beck.
Right.
And that's I don't know if that's productive.
Unfortunately, that's the sport of college football now. And I've been saying this to you now for a couple of years. I've been telling you it's trending to be just like college basketball is, right?
Yeah.
Where you build one team, and Duke and Kentucky always are going to have great teams because the best players are going to go there, right? Or UCLA or whoever, somebody in the Big Ten. In the end, you're making a 1-year run, and that's what college sports has evolved.
I just think Mario is better with more consistency players around him, instead of, I don't believe he's the guy that can wing it from year to year and change things up and a whole bunch of new faces and all that kind of stuff. I think he's the kind of guy that kind of needs to be around the same people and not that much like it used to be, not a ton of turnover every year, some turnover, but a lot of consistency. Here with the NIL stuff, man, you are getting a lot of turnover every year, and it really takes a special coach to be able to kind of, get back into the kitchen again and, different ingredients, and then come up with another great meal. That's hard, and he hasn't come up with a great meal yet.
Right. He had his chance last year, and
he had a Heisman Trophy candidate last year, and he couldn't even he couldn't even get in the conference game, couldn't get in the playoffs. That's bad, dude. It's bad.
It's going to be like that, and I think the good thing for Miami again is that they're spending money on NIL. The problem for this program for so long was the spending, and that's not a problem anymore. And I think as long as they spend, that is the key to this all, because sooner or later you find the right coordinators, you find the right quarterback, you find the right. It's just not going to be what it was in the 80s. They're not going to win. They're not going to win 4 national titles in a decade. This is hey, maybe they can get together for 1 year. Maybe they make the playoffs a couple years in a row, and the momentum continues. But I just think it's more of a every year you gear up and hope that you can make that run.
Yeah. It's what we lived is over. That will never ever happen again. But man, it would be nice to see something that resembles that from back in the day. All right, what do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check you out?
Yeah, I just wrote a Miami Hurricanes mailbag since we're at the midway point of spring football. I answered a bunch of questions with that, and I mentioned the recruiting 10 most intriguing prospects that was knocked out as well. So I've been putting out some content this week. I'll have more next week as well.
All right, good stuff. And follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up next week. Thank you.
All right, brother.
You got it.
No problem.
There you go, the great Manny Navarro.
You've been listening to the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. At the Big Cheese Miami, they continue to purchase the same high-quality ingredients that the most expensive Italian restaurants use. The difference is they serve large portions at a family price. Visit the Big Cheese at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue in Miami. Call 305-662-6855 or go to thebigcheesemiami.com. Go Canes!
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.